The way we move is not, the way we move doesn't keep us healthy, right? That's something we're going to talk about today. And I think it's important for us to keep movement top of mind as we talk about health, fitness, and longevity. For those of you who are watching, my name is Toby. I'm 41 years old and I train to live a long, healthy, active, and adventurous life. I do so by minding my sleep, minding what I eat, showing up to do some training and moving every day, investing in my relationships, my friendships, and doing things that I enjoy, generally trying to live a stress-free life. If that's something you're interested in, you've come to the right place, because in this podcast, I talk very briefly for about 15 minutes about one of the topics that I find is important for health and fitness. On Mondays, we talk about sleep. On Tuesdays, we talk about nutrition and food. On Wednesdays, we talk about movement and activity. On Thursday, we talk about connection and relationships. And on Friday, we talk about pursuits and mastery. Saturday, we talk about motivation. And Sunday, we reflect on the week and on the progress and obstacles that we've made and encountered, so to speak. So that's something you are interested in. Go ahead, check out my channel, hit like on the stream, subscribe, say hi in chat. We can have a conversation about health, fitness, and longevity. Today, we're going to talk about today's training. I did my kettlebell circuit, my EMOM. I'll talk about that for a bit. We're going to talk about movement and why that is so important. And I think the fridge is chiming in slightly. And then we're going to talk about one small change that we can make in our daily routine. I think yesterday we talked about adding one vegetable to one of our meals in the week. And Monday we talked about getting a sleep mask. Today we're going to talk about something we can do in terms of movement that is going to maybe help us develop different habits around health and longevity. And it looks like the coffee's almost brewed, which means that I'm going to be enjoying a nice cup of coffee soon. Today's training, okay? Today's training I did an EMOM, which is an every minute on the minute with a light kettlebell. Why am I using light kettlebells, 8 and 4 kilos? Two reasons. One, I injured my back about 6-7 weeks ago. I am still recovering from that. So the fact that I'm lifting any weights in training is a good sign. It seems that my body is recovering properly, but an injury like that could easily take 3 to 6 to 9 to maybe even 12 months to fully recover from. And I want to give my body the opportunity to fully recover without pushing it too hard. And as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, well, I've done hill sprints and a couple of intense runs, or one intense run also already. Maybe I need to reevaluate whether I should keep doing that or tone it down a little bit for another 2 or 3 weeks. Just to give my body that sufficient time to recover. On the other hand, I don't experience any pain or discomfort, so the body can do it. In some cases, we need to do it unless we get signals that we should stop, right? But today's training, EMOM, lightweight, 4 kilos overhead presses instead of 8, because I am working on my shoulder mobility. So we need to work on that and make sure that the range of motion in my right shoulder normalizes. It's limited right now. I will be getting an exercise ball for that, so you'll see in my workout live streams me doing some mobility exercises specifically for my back and shoulder, and we can have a talk about why that is when I'm doing those. But today's workout was good. Circuit, 6 exercises, 5 or 6 push-ups, squats, overhead presses, rows, deadlifts, 5 exercises, so 6 cycles of 5 minutes, which is a 30-minute workout plus a 2-minute warm-up. That's what I did today. That's the start of my day. I did that at 5 a.m. It is now 6 a.m. Live streaming this, and then I'm going to go out for a little walk. And on that walk is low intensity, steady state. So anywhere in higher end of zone 1, lower end of zone 2. It's just to get that movement in. I did my training. Now we're looking at general movement that I want to get in throughout the day. I suffer from hay fever, so my nose is itchy. You might hear it in the way I talk or sound. I sound a bit nasal these weeks because these weeks are, how should I put it, a struggle for me. But hey, we keep going on because every day is one, and this also shall pass. So today's topic, let's talk about movement and why movement in general is important. And when I talk about movement, right, we can break it down into two, maybe three broad areas, depending on how you want to look at it. So we can talk about general movement, the activity that I have throughout the day, the things that I do throughout the day, like taking the stairs, biking to the train station, walking to and from the supermarket or the market, things like that. Then there is training specifically, like I did this morning, very specific set of exercises that I want to do to drive certain adaptation. In this case, it's about strength and conditioning, right? So it's challenging the muscles, but not too intensely, but at the same time, doing it in such a time frame that my cardiorespiratory system gets challenged as well, which is different from strength training, it's different from pure endurance training because I'm doing strength and endurance at the same time. And sports and play, right? Where we are maybe playing soccer or football or padel or tennis or hockey or any kind of team sport or team activity or group activity that we kind of undertake together, but where we also interplay together, where we need to communicate, adapt, collaborate, etc. Right? So there are very many different modalities of movement. And the nice thing is that we don't need to train and sport to stay fit and healthy, but it does help. In general, if we're moving sufficiently throughout the day, and if we are mindful of how we move and how much we move throughout the day, overall, we could be quite healthy and fit already without realizing it, right? Because I think when it comes to movement, and when it comes to movement specifically in light of getting fit and healthy, we misunderstand a couple of things. Let me just give you a little bit of context here before we dive in further. We have a problem with health and fitness at a societal level. It is very clear. If more than half the population is overweight or carrying an excess of fat on their body mass, that means that for some reason the balance between what we consume, how well we sleep, and how much we move or how active we are is off, all right? Now, weight in general is something that food is and nutrition is the biggest lever we can pull, but health and fitness, movement, is one of the biggest levers that we can pull there. And we can carry excess weight and be healthy and fit in the moment. That's completely possible. There are some long-term implications, but generally it is quite possible to, be very healthy and fit despite not maybe meeting the ideal, which is not an ideal, but that's a different conversation in and of itself, right? But as a society, we have a problem with that balance. There's too much food, there's too much distraction that keeps us awake at night, and there's not enough opportunity for us to actually use our bodies the way they were intended, and that makes us unfit and unhealthy in many different ways. And these habits apparently are forming already at a very young age, because we see that only 33% of the youth between 12 and 18, which is a period in life when health habits, movement habits, and patterns are obviously established or become established and routine, only 33% moves enough. So that means that in the future, more than 60%, more than 2/3 of the population is going to have grown up already with a lack of movement in an environment where there's too much food, in an environment where there's a lot of opportunity to lose sleep. And how does that set us up for the future of our health and fitness? at a societal level, right? And this also gets reflected at an individual level. So movement in general just becomes um, an important factor of our lifestyle. Okay, if you're doing sports once a week, that's great. That's a good amount of movement for that day, but there's 6 other days that we need to account for in this equation as well. And I want us to understand that we don't have to train every day, right? I do strength conditioning training, mobility training, strength conditioning, mobility, a run, mobility. Mobility, I call it training, but it is very low intensity recovery, right? It's more movement than training, so to speak. So that's 4 days a week that I am actually training or doing something moderately intense, and that's at the high end. 2 to 3 times a week is probably already more than enough for general health and fitness when it comes to training. But moving is something that we need to incorporate every day. And on top of my training, I try to move between 1 to 2 hours every day. So the total movement package on a day is 2.5 hours out of 24. 8 hours of sleep, 2.5 hours of movement and training. That leaves, 13.5 hours for everything else, so to speak. So 8 hours of work and a lot of family time and a lot of time spent preparing foods, dinners, and eating. So think about that, right? Think about where we can incorporate movement throughout our day-to-day, throughout our daily lives, because it is such an easy win. All those minutes or 5 minutes stack up. If you have a 15-minute walk to the train station, that's 15 minutes there, that's 15 minutes back, that's 30 minutes of movement in a day. If you do it on a bike, it's a bit more higher intensity, but it's probably a shorter movement. An American? No, not an American. I am in Amsterdam. Then we have, like things that we can do throughout the day. Like I work in an office. Sometimes I take a movement snack, so I will just go to the office gym and I will hang on the pull-up bar and just hang, maybe do a couple of pull-ups, a couple of squats, or I will get on a bike and just cycle for 5 or 10 minutes. I think the word is privet. Thanks for dropping by, for saying hello, and I hope you're doing well where you are in the world, and I hope you're having a good middle of the day. I think it is for you, or closing to already. It is tantamount to be mindful of those kinds of little opportunities we have to move. I take some meetings, some phone calls or face-to-face meetings, walking, and that can go from 30 to 60 minutes. So imagine incorporating a 30 to 60 minute walk in the middle of the working day. Usually we'd be sitting and having a cup of coffee and talking, but now we're walking and talking. The conversations are usually a bit better, but we also both get the benefit of that 30 to 60 minutes of exercise. Right? So there are a lot of little moments throughout the day where we can increase our movement, and that is going to be to the benefit of us in general. Before I close off with a small change that we can make, for those of you who are watching, thanks for dropping by. My name is Toby, I'm 41 years old, and I train to live an active, self-sufficient, and adventurous life. If you're interested in what I talk about health, fitness, and longevity here on the podcast. Go ahead, hit like, let me know that you like this content, subscribe to the channel, let me know that you're interested in me creating more content, and leave a comment in chat or under any of the videos that I've created with a question or an insight. I usually respond to all of those over time. And I appreciate you dropping by and being interested in what I have to say. So the final thing for today, one small change that we can make in our daily routine, and let's make one small change in terms of our movement. So one of the things that we can do is we maybe have a commute or a place we need to go every day. If that is the case, I'd like you to consider one of two things. Clause 22, hey, thanks for dropping by. And I appreciate you, dropping by and saying hello, and I hope you're doing well where you are in the world, and I hope you're off to a good night's rest or a great start and rest of the day. Be well today, friend. If you have that commute or that walk to the place of your commute, increase that walk or bike ride by a minute, okay? So it doesn't have to be much, but just add that 1 minute to it. That could be by walking in the opposite direction for 30 seconds and then 30 seconds back the other way. That could be by going around one extra block, but just add in that little bit of extra movement on that regular commute path, just to increase the time on the way there or on the way back. So you don't even have to do both. You're just going to go for that 1 minute extra one time a day, and we're going to do that 5 times or 7 times, well, 5 times Monday to Friday probably in the week. So that's 5 minutes of extra movement over the course of the week. And maybe that will inspire us to think of and find more little moments throughout the day where we can add minutes of movement to our day, because all those minutes overall are going to stack up and make us healthier and fitter for life. That was more or less 15 minutes, I think. Friends, thanks for dropping by. Remember, you're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. It's the person we are today. It's going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. Thanks for dropping by in the podcast. Remember that this is about the way I feel, not about the way I look. I would like to feel fit, capable, and competent for life. And I hope that through the conversations we're having, you might find some inspiration and insight about health, fitness, longevity through my journey. The only way to get anything done, friends, is by showing up and doing the work. So I will see you tomorrow. Take care, friends. And remember, subscribe.